Good. And welcome to our guest, Teddy Herman, as our management rep. Today's meeting, the theme is the best lesson I never learned. When I saw the theme, this title, it rings a bell to me. It applies to me very much as I presented last week. Procrastination is the lesson I never learned and still to be learned. Last week, as I prepared that speech, I didn't have the right topic just before the meeting. So I picked that procrastination as the best topic to describe myself at that moment and share that time management metrics. I shared with some of the folks and probably will share with more of the team, plus any of the apps, to help us to overcome this problem later on. So with that, I will start with HSE moment. I think I would like to share probably some lesson learned as well as a safety precaution. I would like to share my screen now. Just bear with me for a second. Okay. I think a picture is worth a thousand words. So you can see here, most of us will spot what's going on. Our house has been built like for 8 years. And since day one, there was some issue with the roof leaking. And it's been fixed kind of twice. And over the years, because of it's not serious, it's left with that still with the stain. With this year, of course, due to COVID-19, of course, I was able to enter in the attic when it was heavy rain last week. So I spotted the water, the leaking from the roof, and this is left on the inside of the bedroom. So per my boss's instruction, I need to make it look better by removing this stain. So what I did is follow the instruction from the builder and to have 50% of water, 50% of bleach. I mix that and spray that to the spot. Obviously, I thought this is not a big deal. It's an easy job and do right away. So I stepped on the stool and spray on top over my head. And you can imagine the water, the mixture of that chemical is spray everywhere and spray back to my eyes and face. It's not serious, but I can still feel my eyes was irritated. So after that, I went to the washroom and clean my face and eyes. So that's the lesson learned. Anything you do at home, treat it as a work project as well. I do that for when I mow the grass, use the PPE and the steel toe, but I just forgot to do that. That's another lesson to learn. With that, the share of my stuff, I would like to have move the next agenda, which is word of the day. And Monica Huang will be present word of the day. Monica, it's your turn.
Good afternoon, everyone. So today, word of the day. So the purpose for the word of the day is to increase the members' vocabulary. So today's word of the day is the aesthetic. Can I share my screen?
Yes, please. Yes, we can see now.
Yeah. So aesthetic is the objective. So the meaning for that is feeling of overwhelming happiness or joyful excitement. I like that. So the meaning too is the involving an experience of mystic self-transcendence. And it also is alone describes a person to mystic experiences. So the example to use aesthetic as an adjective is I'm absolutely ecstatic and having an opportunity to learn from fellow Toastmasters. The second example is he does eventually renew his belief in the Lord, so it becomes an ecstatic version of the Lord and resolving family conflicts. Thanks to the master, Madam Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Monica?
Yes, okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think most of us are ecstatic about our Toastmasters, and we did a great job. And over the last weekend, we saw that email broadcasting to everyone. We achieved so much, milestones. On the agenda, we have the joke of the day, and Shirley will be presenting to us the joke of the day. Go ahead, Shirley.
Static kind of in quotation, conversation of two people for joke of the day. So the first person says, "You're skating on thin eggshells, mister." And the second person says, "Oh, it's either skating on thin ice or walking on eggshells." And the first person says, "You probably shouldn't have corrected me. Now you have really opened up a can of hot water."
That was great. Thank you, Shirley, for that. And now we will move to our formal speeches. I would like to introduce Toastmaster Christina Cruz. Please go ahead, Christina.
Thank you, Stephen. I am ecstatic to be Toastmaster today of such a fantastic club. Everywhere I go, I tell people Fluor is the best, but we actually have it on paper now to prove we are such a fantastic club. I get to introduce two amazing Toastmaster speakers today, and I am ecstatic to be here as a Toastmaster. Our first speaker is Shelley, and could Shelley's evaluator please give us the objectives of her speech?
Yes, Shelley's objectives today, the purpose of the speech is for Shelley to demonstrate that she has applied the feedback received from her first speech. The timing of the speech today is green on 5 minutes, yellow on 6 minutes, and 7 minutes for red.
Thank you so much, Bob. Fantastic. I am super ecstatic, Shelley, to be your introducer today. Shelley's best lesson that she never learned is not to talk to strangers. She loves meeting new people and always enjoyed creating new connections. I think you are in the right place here, Shelley. Her speech today, how I learned that working out sometimes works out. Shelley, how I learned that working out sometimes works out. Please welcome Shelley today for her speech.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Can I be heard? Can people hear me?
Well done. You're sounding great. You look wonderful.
Okay, good. What do you do when the very thing that you hate is something that you know you have to do? I have a lifelong love-hate relationship with exercise. I know that the evidence shows that exercise is good for you, but is the pain of doing it worth the gain? I have never learned to like exercise, but I have learned that it must be done. I was brought up in a household where exercise, working out, healthy attitude was the norm. My parents went to worship at the tennis court. They believed that working out was their religion. I never saw my mother drink a Coke in my entire life. I can tell you that my parents were at the forefront of the exercise movement. In the 70s, my parents started to jog. It wasn't called running in those days, which is cooler. In those days, they were joggers. And guess what? My mother, to this very day, she's 84. When I practiced this speech in front of her, I never mentioned that. But the truth is, she still jogs at 84 years old. The fact is, I have a memory of coming down for breakfast one summer morning. It was summer. I slept in. I staggered into the kitchen, and I was looking for something to eat. There's my mother. She walks in the door after playing 2 hours of tennis. She says to me, "You're just going to eat like that? You haven't even exercised?" It was really one of the worst things you could do in my family. I have never liked sports. I've always believed that sports teams were like gladiators, whether they were on the stadium, whether they were on the football field, they were out there fighting for their cities, fighting for their teams, for their countries. I always thought this fostered a less attractive aspect of the human spirit. Can you join me in remembering many people that you might know who cry tears when their teams lose? Can you join me in remembering countries where they riot and break store windows after their teams lose? I say this does not foster a healthy aspect of the human spirit. I can tell you that I was very close to someone who did triathlons for many years. If you don't know what this is, I will tell you. It involves 3 sports. You have to do a swim, you have to do a bike, and you have to run for varying amounts of time. I have been to the Ironman in Penticton twice. And I'm going to tell you what triathletes talk about. How was my time in the run? How was my cycle? How fast did I go? Was it my personal best? For goodness sakes, it seems to me extremely self-involved, and I wonder, is this really elevating the human spirit? I can tell you a triathlon I'd like to do. How about 2 hours of guitar playing in the morning? How about 3 hours of sketching? And then how about poetry reading for an hour? Now that's something I would be happy to do. And not only that, I believe it would elevate the human spirit. If you know of such a thing, let me know. But I'm going to tell you a story that changed everything. One day I was walking along and I felt something in my foot sort of snap, like a little spring went. At first it was very small. I didn't really pay too much attention. But over time, I found that I was actually limping. I could hardly walk, hardly put pressure on that foot. I went to the doctor. The doctor said, "Let's do an x-ray." I got the x-ray. The doctor said, "There's nothing wrong with you. There is no break. There's nothing wrong with your foot." I thought, how can this be? I can't even walk. I used to sit at my desk in my office with ice pack under my foot. I became obsessed with this mystery. I started to worry there was something wrong with me, but nobody knew what it was. It went round and round in my head. I became an obsessive thinker. I could hardly sleep. I was up all night. Many nights I saw the sunrise. That's a beautiful thing when you don't want to see the sunrise. What I ended up doing was something that surprised me. I started to go to the gym. I found that if I could not control my thoughts, I could at least control my body. I started to do things that made me feel competent. For example, the elliptical, I would do that. I would go up and down until the sweat was running off my brow. I would do the exercise bike. I would drive myself nowhere, but I was on that bike and I was sweating, and I could feel accomplished when that was done. I was conquering my mind through the physical activities. I also did the rowing machine. I did it until my arms were in pain and I felt I could do it no more. So what I have to say to you today is this. I learned that exercise is not only something for the body, not only something that makes you stronger, but it is something where you can find a feeling of accomplishment. I learned that exercise is not always about winning or losing, but in fact, being able to control your own mind and your own emotions. So the lesson for me, and really what makes me ecstatic when I do go to the gym, is that, in fact, although I've never really learned to like it, I have learned that it must be done. Madam Toastmaster.
Beautiful, Shelley. Thank you. I'm ecstatic on your opinion of exercise. Let's give our evaluation time 1 minute, please, Madam Timer. Congratulations, Shelley. Fantastic presentation.
Christina, you are muted.
You missed my great story. You would be ecstatic to hear what I was talking about. I'll tell you anyway. So when we were children, we wanted to go roller skating. This is a lesson I never learned. And we asked our parents if we could go roller skating, and the answer was no. I don't even remember the ins and outs of that weekend. But the response was, we took you to Europe. And as children, our parents made a big effort to help us understand our background and our family who were in Europe. From then on, every time we wanted to go roller skating, the response was, no, you've been to Europe. It was a bit of a joke growing up. But I didn't learn to roller skate. I did learn different cultures. I did learn about my family. And I did learn about understanding different perspectives and seeing the world. To this day, I value, and my family and our children to value the benefits and the experience of travel. So I may not be a great roller skater, but I know a lot more people, and I understand that we're all in this together. I'm ecstatic to tell you that story, but I don't see any ecstatic faces, people. Work with me here. Lisa, I'm so ecstatic to introduce you today. Lisa's lesson as a child, she was often told, keep your hands to yourself. She thinks people need handshakes and hugs. We can appreciate when someone holds the door open or hands us a cup of coffee. I prefer tea. Especially during the pandemic, let us continue to look for ways to reach out to each other. At this time, I'd like to reach out to Lisa's evaluator to give us the objectives.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Lisa is doing her second speech from the Pathways Mentor program, and this is about advanced mentoring. The objectives of Lisa's speech today are to apply mentoring skills during a long-term mentoring commitment, and then for the speech itself, for the member to share some of her aspects of her own experience as a mentor. The timing for the speech is 5 to 7 minutes, and I believe we saw the title on the screen just now, which is Not for the Faint of Heart. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Matt. And reminder that you may add your comments to the chat if you have any evaluations for Lisa. Not for the faint of heart. Lisa Branch, not for the faint of heart.
In the heart of each mentor is an ethic of the highest standards of personal integrity and performance, dedication to team members, and loyalty to Toastmasters. This is actually taken from the ethos of an American Navy SEAL with only 2 minor changes, and I thought it was very fitting to describe the heart of a Toastmasters mentor too. Fellow Toastmasters and our management rep, as I near the completion of a 6-month mentoring journey for my mentoring pathway, I'd like to share with you a few lessons learned and 3 tips for when you're ready to begin your own mentoring journey. 2 of the biggest lessons I ever learned about mentoring have to do with feedback. The first lesson is how to receive feedback. Oh, there we go. Just like in a regular Toastmasters meeting, when the speaker hears from the evaluator, they just listen and receive the feedback. There's no opportunity for rebuttal, for explanation, or excuses. You simply receive it and process it later. You may disagree with the comments and discard them. You may decide to take some action and make some changes. A personal example of this is when I was a team leader for a small direct sales company, and I communicated with my team mostly through email. One day, one of my leaders asked me if I was upset with her because she expressed that my emails were a little brusque and I was coming across as prickly. Prickly. Well, I had some time of self-reflection as I considered her comments, and I could see her point of view. I realized that I am a very direct and to the point type of person when it comes to email. In response to her feedback, I apologized to many people on my team, and I adjusted my approach. I had friendlier salutations and some personal preamble before getting down to business. The second lesson that I learned was how to give good feedback. Although praise and encouragement are needed, and they really feel good in the moment, most of our learning comes from being aware of where we are weak and need to put more attention and focus. My intention is always to speak from a heart of love, and at times it requires gumption. Gumption is defined as determination and courage. People who want to grow are willing and open to honest feedback, even if it's hard to hear. I have learned that I need to up my gumption in order to be more accountable for providing growth opportunities to my mentees. Those are just 2 of my many lessons that I've learned as a mentor. Here are some tips for becoming a memorable mentor. Be available and be present. In our fast-paced society where multitasking is often worn as a badge of honor, it's important to make time for your mentee. If your schedule is so packed that you can't meet up for 2 weeks from now, then you probably need to balance your life a little bit more or determine that now is maybe not the best time for you to be a mentor. Once you've scheduled your chat time, be prepared to be all ears and devote your entire attention to your mentee. If you're meeting in person, make sure that you put away your phone so it doesn't distract you with incoming calls or text message. People feel second rate when you turn your attention to your technology instead of to them. If you're meeting over the phone, here's a tip from personal experience. Don't try vacuuming while you're talking on the phone. I have a funny story about multitasking on a call. Years ago, when I was working for this direct sales company, I was promoted to the rank of a senior leader. And I was ecstatic to be included in their inner circle webinar with the president of the company. These are the days before video conferencing, so it really was one-sided. So I set up my computer on the counter in the kitchen, ready to listen to the president expound on his PowerPoint slides. And as most of you know, I love efficiency. So I was washing the dishes while I was listening. When I was finished, I pulled the plug and the water all the way down the drain, and the president paused and said, "Would the person who is washing the dishes please mute their line?" I didn't realize I was unmuted the whole time that I was banging and clanging around in the sink. That was very embarrassing. So be present. My second tip is listen. I used to think that I needed to fix the person or provide solutions to their problems. And I've quickly learned that the other person already has the answers. You just need to listen as they verbally process and ask some open-ended questions to help them come to their own conclusions. My third tip is to speak from a heart of love. If we have the other person's best interests in mind, and when we speak truthfully but kindly, it will be well received. Hard words are best received from a friend. If you're ever unsure of how to approach a delicate situation, you can always go back to the Toastmasters values. And they form the acronym RISE, and it stands for respect, integrity, service, and excellence. Another Navy SEAL motto is have a shared sense of purpose. Personally, I think they borrowed this one from Toastmasters. Even though I hinted that mentoring is not for the faint of heart, it's not without its numerous benefits. I've become a better listener, a better leader. I've become more aware of my own shortcomings and better understand myself and what I have to offer to others. I first thought that being a Toastmasters mentor was about giving advice for how to be a better speaker. But it's so much more than that. It's about each of us, the mentee and the mentor, becoming better communicators, better leaders, better people. The best lessons that I have learned about mentoring are about giving and receiving feedback. I encourage you, as you mentor others, to be available and present. Listen well and speak from a heart of love. My hope is that each of you will enjoy the benefits of mentoring, first as a mentee, and then by giving back and continuing to grow as a mentor. Mentoring is not for the faint of heart, but with a lot of grace and a little gumption, you can rise up and be a Navy SEAL of our club by becoming a mentor. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm ecstatic to hear advice for mentors. That's a wonderful summary, and your last slide is great. We will take a minute now for people to write some comments and give our evaluators the time to get together. It's very appropriate, Lisa, that you talk about mentoring. And I'm ecstatic to introduce our table topic master today, who is going to be our Division D director. And I think Tammy's aware of this, but we have just filled the team. So we have all of our area directors probably ready for training next week, which is amazing. And this year, our focus will be on mentoring. So what Lisa's given us is an excellent introduction to our year ahead as a district. For an ecstatic table topic master, please help me welcome Tammy Frenette.
Thank you very much, Christina, and really appreciate the introduction and look forward to our adventures and mentoring and being a protege this year. So it'll be kind of a dual role I'll be in. The reason we do table topics is to provide the opportunity for others to have the opportunity to be able to speak during our meeting that do not currently have roles within our meeting, and actually to be able to think on our feet quickly and actually present like a little impromptu speech within a couple of minutes. And going along with today's theme of being the best lesson I've never learned, I come up with a couple of questions that I was thinking that maybe Ruby would be interested in taking on our first question.
Okay, can I have the
Available, Miss Ruby? Okay.
Topics Master, can I have the question, please?
Yes, and I will share my screen here as I get her ready. What lesson did your parents try to teach you, but you never learned? Thank you, Ruby. Oh, Ruby, you're on mute.
Thank you for this question, Madam Table Topics Master. A lesson that my parents have time and again taught me, and that which till today I haven't learned, is being quiet. Ever since I was a young kid, my tendency to explore and be curious about, when asked told to do something, why, was a standard feature. Girls shouldn't roam about in short dresses. Why, Mom? When elders are present, you should always keep quiet and only speak when you're asked to. Why, Mom? When you have periods, you should not go into temple. Why, Mom? You can go to any country you want after you're married, after you've gone to your husband's house. Why, Grandma? Girls should not go to sight very recently. Why that? Why? The lesson that time and again my parents, grandparents, and my father have tried to teach me is ask for compliance and receive it without questions. That I have failed to do is be non-compliant and ask question to understand. The root of this is I, being an analytical person and with a direct communication style, find it ecstatic to ask deep, why am I being told to do something? It just fails me beyond, I've been asked to do something and I'm to comply as a standard response. So to sum up, a lesson that I have till day not learned from my parents is being quiet and not asking why. Madam Toastmaster.
Ruby, you make me ecstatic, and I have to laugh and smile with you all at the same time. That was such a brilliant table topic of why. I always thought a child left the questioning of why at the age of 2, because every other word out of their mouth was why. You reiterated to me, and I'm grateful that you do this, is that you have listened and taught to your parents of it's not always okay just to be compliant because. Love that you know who you are. You are an analytical person. You are a direct person. You know your communication style. You know your leadership style. That is phenomenal as you bringing and stepping up into who you are. And Ruby, continue to ask the word why. And I commend you for being able to do that throughout your life and not just stopping it when you were 2. Thank you so much for your great response in your table topic. Now, my next question for a table topic, and I was going to ask Leah if she would like to do the next question for us here today.
Give it a try.
I can barely hear you, Leah. Are you okay?
Can you guys hear me?
I can now hear you.
Oh, strange. Yes, sure. I'll give it a try. Thank you.
Excellent. So your table topic is, what lesson did you try to teach one of your siblings? And I'm sorry, I should have put an E on the end of one of your siblings. So what lesson did you try and teach one of your siblings? Thank you, Leah.
Thank you for the topic, Tammy. I actually have a very close relationship with my sister. She's about 2.5 years old, and as in most families where you're the oldest sibling, you kind of take on the role where you kind of co-parent, or you kind of assume that role yourself because you think you're the big boss, and that is what I did. And so one thing I tried to teach my sister was to share. And that was one thing that my parents really instilled in me growing up, and especially my grandparents. No matter what, whatever we had, we would try to give and share with each other. And growing up, we didn't have that much, and my grandparents, especially way back in the Philippines, they didn't have a lot either. But they never wanted us to be, in Filipino, I think it's like karipwat. That's the word for like greedy. And they never wanted us to do that. So that is the one thing I tried to instill in my sister. And it's really hard to teach her that. She had this obsession with teddy bears, and she had this one bear that she just would not share for the longest time. And I think she still has it, and that is just one thing I can't get out of her. But we will never fight over sharing food, sharing ideas, just anything else except for that bear. So that is the one thing I tried to teach her, is learning to share. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Leah. And I greatly appreciate of you walking us through and sharing such a personal story from being back in the Philippines and what life was like growing up. I kind of grew up of a similar background. I'm the oldest child, and trying to instill what your parents are instilling onto you is sharing, as we had 4 siblings. There's 4 of us. So yes, sharing is key to any success in a household. And I do regard your sister as to try to keep one thing that she didn't have to share to herself was the teddy bear. And I'm thank you for not taking that away from her and letting her still have it, and respecting her ability of needing something to be attached to and not wanting to share. Thank you, Leah, for another great table topic. And now I would like to return the control of the meeting back over to Christina Cruz, our table topics master. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you, Tammy. Great lessons. Great table topic today, and thank you to our participants. At this time, I would like to introduce our general evaluator, Isabella, and she will take the meeting from here. Thank you, everybody. It's been fun so far. I'm really ecstatic.
Hi, everyone. Our first evaluator for today is Bob. I'd like to call on Bob to evaluate Shelley.
Yeah, Shelley, I was absolutely ecstatic with your speech today. I was both a marathoner and an ultramarathoner for many, many years, and I definitely know all about the benefits of exercise. Even though this was only your second speech, you're obviously a very accomplished speaker. Yeah, there were so many strengths today and so many things you excelled at. It was amazing, but I want to just talk about a few of those. First of all, your personal goal today was to move around more and to use bigger hand motions. You definitely excelled at both of those. In addition to that, you also had excellent eye contact. I was really impressed with your speech structure. You had an excellent opening with a question, which always draws in the audience. So that's always a great thing. And a very strong closing at the end. Pace of your speech was absolutely excellent. You were clear, you were very comfortable, obviously speaking, and had really good vocal variety. Really, the only challenge that I guess I have for you, and this is being a little bit picky, because I was really impressed that you were standing in front of the camera, which isn't terribly easy to do with this kind of a format. But I did find that you were off center sometimes, and that it was just a little bit distracting. Minor challenge and probably quite easy to fix. Overall, your speech was absolutely excellent, and I so look forward to your third speech. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Bob. Now I would like to call on Matt to evaluate our second speaker, Lisa.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Lisa, when I heard that you were speaking today, I was ecstatic because you always deliver. And certainly when the opportunity came for me to give you an evaluation, I was in ecstasy, of course. But I really did like your speech today. And the theme I'm going to give for you for your evaluation ties to not for the faint of heart. And let's touch on mountaineering. I'm going to talk about where you excelled and reached the pinnacle of public speaking. I'm going to talk about where you're climbing strongly and just doing a fantastic job. And I might just point out a couple of areas where I feel that you may be coming across an overhang and maybe need a little help in getting around that overhang. So let's go. Your opening was great. I liked the sentence that you had on the screen. And you talked about the two variances from the Navy SEALs. That was excellent, and I really like that. That's you're climbing strongly there. Maybe one of the overhangs would be that you could just point out those two words. Now, I think they were obvious and they were mentor and Toastmaster, but maybe where they came from and what the Navy SEALs used as well could possibly be added. You then spoke about the 3 lessons that you were going to give us. And I'm not sure if you told us you were going to give us 3 lessons, but you gave us 3 lessons and they were excellent. An area where I feel that you climb very, very strongly with your public speaking is your word choice and your use of tone. Let's just pull a few of those words out. Prickly, and you give it a nice little spin when you said the word prickly. You repeated it, in fact. You talked about, I am direct, and a lot of emphasis there, and you can get that as well. So that really comes across to the audience. Great use of the word salutation, gumption, some great choices of word when you could have taken the easy path. One of the things I thought you did very, very well where you've reached the pinnacle is how you engaged the audience. It's difficult over virtual cameras. And you spoke to the camera. I've seen meetings where people are maybe looking at their notes over here somewhere, but you engaged the audience even though you had slides. That was fantastic. An area where you may be able to get past that overhang is that because you didn't have a physical audience, I felt you could have added some pauses occasionally. And you may have felt you needed to keep talking to keep us engaged and maybe just throw a pause or 2 in there. But you had some fantastic stories in there, and I really liked the speech. The third lesson, I love the title, Speak from the Heart of Love. What a great title. Again, excellent. With your slide deck, and I loved your slide deck, maybe just a couple of items that you could possibly improve upon. Have the lesson at the top and give some of the bullets underneath, and maybe add a couple of capital letters to your words, and maybe yellow font could come out better against the blue background. But to wrap it all up, you gave us a great summary. You started on a lot of I statements about yourself. I became a better person. I became a better leader, and we're all with you then. And then you gave us a little bit of a challenge, but what you did fantastically about that challenge is you didn't get aggressive. You weren't brusque or prickly. You said, I encourage you. What a great word to use. You're not forcing it upon us. You're just encouraging us to take on that mentoring skills and lessons that you learned. Overall, fantastic speech, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt, for that wonderful evaluation. Now I would like to call on Irma to do the table topics evaluation.
Thank you very much, Leah. Tammy was our table topics master today, and I enjoyed the fact that she had put it on a PowerPoint where we could be sure and very clear of what she wanted the table topic participants to talk about. Both of you, Ruby and Leah, you were great. I enjoyed that you had strong examples. You took something from your life experience from when you grew up and that is always something that all of us have. We do have the times that we grew up and the lessons that we had learned. I really appreciated that. All in all, good job. I am so ecstatic to see this club excelling at the speeches, at the quality of vocabulary and grammar that's being used, because when we enunciate our words properly, when we make sure we use the proper grammar, then that makes for high quality. Good job, all of you.
Thank you, Irma. Now I'll start with my general evaluation. I thought today's meeting was fantastic. Stephen did a great job as the chairperson to get the meeting started on time, even though he came from another meeting. Monica shared a word of the day that was easy to incorporate into the meeting, and we had many laughs from the joke of the day, but I think it would be nice if we can see your smiling face, Shore. Next, Christina, you're an engaging and entertaining Toastmasters as always. I just noticed that we didn't follow the agenda to when we're doing the table topics. I'm not sure if that's on purpose, but overall, you did a fantastic job. For Tammy, you did an excellent job for table topics. You explained the importance of table topics, and doing table topics is very challenging for me, but you picked questions that are easy to understand and that ties in with our theme. Thank you, Matt, for taking on the evaluator role last minute. Bob and Matt, you both did an excellent job. As I haven't done evaluator role yet, I have learned so much from both of you. Bob, I would suggest using the sandwich.
I think she might have been kicked out of the network. She's showing us away on same tech now.
Sorry about that, guys. I lost connection. So as I was saying, Bob, I would suggest using the sandwich method for your evaluation delivery. So start with something positive, let them know some areas of improvement, and end on a positive note. Matt, you did a fantastic job. I would suggest you add more hand gestures in the camera frame so we can see it. Overall, the evaluation today were well done, and I think all of us can take something away from them to help improve our own speeches as well. Now I would like to call up on our grammarian to share her report.
Thank you, Isabella. I'm ecstatic to take on this role today. I really like the word of the day selected by Monica. I think almost everyone speaking today used it, especially Christina. I started losing count. I think I have 10 tally marks, so awesome job there. During our speeches by Shelley and Lisa, I also ran out of room on my paper because you both use so much great grammar, and I'm learning a lot from both of you. From Shelley, I particularly liked when you said elevate the human spirit and conquering my mind. You used a lot of different sentences like that I think worked really well. Lisa, you used words like ethos, prickly, salutation, preamble, gumption. There's a lot there, but I think if we add some more of those cool words into our speech every day, that it would just add a lot to our skill level. And then Matt, I liked how you used the word ecstasy. So great job to everyone today, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Leah. Now I would like to ask our OG counter to share.
I think Tanis is here today.
Oh, Tanis is not here today, so I guess we can skip Connor today. Now I would like to call our timekeeper to share her timing for today.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Everyone was within time today, or close to it. Shelley was our first speaker at 5 minutes and 48 seconds. Lisa, you were just a tad over at 7 minutes and 38 seconds. Ruby, I was so enthralled, and I haven't been a timer for a long time. I estimated yours. I believe it was, because I was literally just listening to you and in awe of how well you were speaking. 1 minute, 56 seconds. Leah, the second table topic speaker, 1 minute, 47 seconds. The first evaluator, Bob, 1 minute, 36 seconds. And Matt was right under the wire at 3 minutes, 21 seconds. The table topics evaluators took 1 minute and 14 seconds. My timers report respectfully given, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Alice. Now I would like to pass things back to Stephen, our chairperson.
Thank you, Isabella. I think today's meeting, we are following seamlessly over time, and everyone is keeping the time within the time slot. So at this time, I don't think that we have to watch Maddie here. Then I would like to move to ask some comments from our management rep, who is Teddy Herman.
Thank you, Stephen. And before I speak to the meeting, I would like to speak to you, Stephen. I encourage you, Stephen, to embrace and be ecstatic about being a procrastinator. Procrastination is one of the most powerful tools there is. Did you know if it wasn't for the last minute, most things in life would never get done? First, the meeting itself. I think it's been about 8 months since I attended a meeting, and the meetings were of high quality then. But this meeting, just everything about it, from all of the different people speaking to the timeliness of everything, really was up a couple notches. So I'm not sure what happened during that period, but it is a good statement that you can even improve on excellence. So I thought that was great. I also want to comment on how well you did with this whole video conferencing, and maybe you guys have had some time to work on it, but it really came across well. I think that Irma and Shelley probably deserve an award for their backgrounds. I thought that was fantastic what they did. Matt, you might want to get rid of that bright light behind you, but that was something. And speaking of the video, by Toastmaster standards, Shelley and Lisa's presentations were just fabulous. And they carried over perfectly, even though they had two distinctly different styles, different presentations, they carried over perfectly to the video. So I think the fact that they were so grounded in the Toastmasters principles is just a statement about it transcending all different mediums. And so I just thought that was a great example of how well you've adjusted to the video. So Stephen, back to you.
Thank you, Teddy. That was a thorough evaluation and comments of our meetings today. Thank you so much for that. And another just lesson learned of today is I saw myself included when I speak with the screen shared. Then if I do not stop sharing, then next person who is speaking will not show on the bigger screen. So that's is kind of lesson for the meeting as well. I saw when Tammy is sharing. Yes.
Yep.
And the big picture will not pop up. So thank you for that. With that, I would like to have some, I don't know if there's any announcement from the leadership or executive. I saw.
Stephen, I have an announcement.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. June 30th. What is everyone on this call and members of our club doing? June 30th is our annual celebration at Fluor Communicators. It's been such a strong year for Fluor, and to finish it off and a stronger moment, we are celebrating this with lots of festivities and many things lined up. I encourage you all with an ecstatic welcome to join me in making this event a brilliant success. It wouldn't be the same without all of you together.
Thank you, Debbie. I saw Alice may have some announcement as well. No, okay. Good. With that, thanks everyone for attending our Toastmaster today, and wish you.
Hi, Steve.
Yes, Rodo. Oh.
Hi, Steve.
Yeah.
Ben. So just give everyone some update of the next week's Tuesday, our table topics contest. So the preparation is going very well, and we are going to send out emails in the next couple of days. So watch the emails, and so we are going to have briefing for judges, and briefing will be Tuesday, next Tuesday, 11:30, and but we will going to have tutorial for the judges and a ballot count at 7 p.m. this Sunday. And then 7:30 to 8:30 for the contestants and the timers. So make yourself available to attend these sessions. And thanks everyone for signing up the laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. I will call for the meeting today, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks, everyone.
Don't forget, tomorrow we have a meeting.
So for tomorrow's meeting, Ruby will be the host. So just click the link and sign into Ruby's meeting room.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Who's here? Okay. Oh, Ben. Oh, Lisa, do you know the details of this timing? I couldn't hear clearly.